1959, I think I was lifeguarding that summer, and I'd just gotten done lifeguarding, and all of a sudden I got my draft notice.
You will do as you're told, and that's the only way you will do. You understand that? Yes!
But I'd already taken my pre-induction physical, and they had told me, you're probably going to be classified 4F because of my bad leg. And I had parked my Volkswagen bus in a parking lot down in San Diego. I had the keys in my pocket when the guy said, okay, you're fine. You're on the train tonight at 6 o'clock headed for Fort Ord. And literally that's what it was. I was on a train out of San Diego that night with about 500 other guys headed for Fort Ord. I had a girlfriend living up here, and I had her get somebody to go down and break into my truck and hotwire it because I had the keys with me. I told her, I said, you get my truck, go back to this house I had just rented recently with 3 or 4 other buddies of mine who were surfers and water guys. And I said, you get to the house and get all my stuff out of my room, because when these guys find out I've been drafted, they're going to be dividing it all up, which they really did. They got a lot of it. After my first 8 weeks of training, being a surfer, I ended up going over to Santa Cruz to surf quite a bit. And I got to know Jack O'Neill fairly well at the time. He was just getting his wetsuit businesses going. And he was making surfboards, and since I had been surfing for the last 5 or 6 years, I said, Jack, why don't you teach me how to shape a surfboard, and I'll shape while you concentrate on your wetsuit business. Jack gave me a shaping bay and a stack of blanks and said, here, start shaping. And so I learned to shape up there, and eventually I ended up in an apartment in Santa Cruz that I went over and spent all my weekends over there working for O'Neill and surfing and spending my 2 years in the military. Shaping a surfboard in those days, you just had to be a decent craftsman, and nobody could really teach you how to shape. You just had to take some blanks and teach yourself how to shape, and that's basically how most shapers get started. Jack was a great guy. He still is a great guy. I talk to him every once in a while now. Not very often. He's getting up there in age now. I believe he's 93 or 94. And he was not the greatest surfer in the world, but I'll tell you what, when the surf was big, he'd always be out there. Jack would literally do anything pretty much. He didn't seem to have a lot of fear, and obviously it worked for him. So he's still around, and he's been a wonderful businessman. I don't know how else to describe him except to say that every time I think of Jack O'Neill, I think of the picture of him standing on his sailboat with a patch over one eye, and they used to call him One-Eyed Jack.